Greetings viewers, Eric the Car Guy back again with another episode of the mini-series. Actually, it's going to be a few episodes, sort of a mini-series within the mini-series. Did you follow all that? Well, in this installment, or installments I should say, we are going to be replacing the bent valves in the N14 engine. Now, if you've lost the timing chain, this very likely may have happened to you. So if the timing chain goes on this engine, it's very possible that it's going to come up and bend valves like I did here. However, this is all my fault. I did a timing chain on this engine and did not properly torque the crank bolt, and as a result, the bottom end was spinning, the top end was not. Piston came up and kissed the valves on cylinder number 3. This video will show you how to remove that cylinder head and get us to that point. And in another installment, we're going to be putting the thing back together and get it running again. But the point is, if you have an N14 engine and you have bent valves and you don't want to spend the kind of money that you need to spend in order to have this repaired someplace, this video should help you walk you through it. Now you'll notice at the beginning of this video, the front end has been removed from the Mini. I've covered that in other videos, linked down in the description. Are you seeing a theme here? So check there if you want that additional information, but I think it's also worth noting that you don't necessarily have to remove the front of this vehicle in order to remove the cylinder head. Personally, I think it's easier. I know it seems like more work, like right out of the box, but I found that it's a lot easier to work on this engine without the front end on, and in this episode I show an easier way of how to remove said front end. So you want to get to that action right now. It's a long video. I don't want to keep droning on and on, but let's get to the action now, already in progress. Let's get started. If you've wondered what these little spacers are for, if you turn these, it will align the headlight. I think what I'll do while I work here, drain the coolant. I want to see if I can take this whole piece, like this everything, off of here, including the washer bottle and everything else. I know that timing is going to be a critical part of this, so I'm going to install the timing tool right now. And remember, don't sand it. Just keep turning it until it falls into place. Take the plugs out. The engine will rotate a lot easier. All right, the timing tool is installed. I'm here, so I'm just going to pop this clamp off now. Excellent. Right, here's my dilemma, but it's easily solved. Last time I disconnected the radiator hose at the radiator up here, and I was able to do that because I had this cold side piping out of the way. I'm not going to be able to do that this time. So what I'm going to do instead, since they were kind enough to give it to me, was they made this junction right here. So this is still the lower radiator hose, but duh, this is like right in front of my face. I have a brand new catch can here that is uncontaminated from any oil or anything, because this coolant's brand new. I don't want to ruin it. So last time I used my big old wire thing, but this time I got myself a new set of pliers. I'll link these down in the description. I got a whole set of these. So I wouldn't have to deal with the same issues I was last time. And man, what a difference. Nice. I mean, like, nice. All right, so loosen this up before I let it down. Let it drain. Yeah, that's pretty darn easy. With that draining, we can move on, and I do really believe that I can take this whole thing off of here, but I'm going to have to do a couple of things first. One of those things is I'm going to reinstall these fasteners, since they never needed to come out in the first place. And remember, these upper ones here are for the headlight, And this is actually for this pipe that goes across here. I'll just run those down again real quick. Last time I just came in here and pried this clip out. There we are. Oh, I'm gonna think of it as long as we're by the battery. Guess we should have disconnected that, right? 99. Make this a bit easier later. First, let's get the condenser. Taking this off will probably help it drain a little better. This is now completely disconnected. Also the electrical connection for the cooling fan. It would help if I was depressing the right part, which is the sides. That was up here. I needed to go farther down. 10s. Thirteens back here. Got the upper radiator hose to also disconnect. Excellent. Is there anything else that needs to be disconnected for this front assembly to come out? I don't think so. Just got to be careful of that. This is surprisingly light. Ooh. Get those wires off of here. Definitely don't want to forget about those. Ooh, just in time. Whoa, just what I did not want to happen. Removing this as an assembly was, well, frankly, easier. I'm gonna get this cleaned up and let's get to work and getting that head off. I'm gonna start by removing the exhaust here on the front, turbo, all that stuff, so we can get down inside, well, so we can get the cylinder head off. O2 sensor, that off. Might as well just get this out of here. And you can unhook. Might as well take the dipstick out before I forget. It really helps that this was so recently taken apart. I don't think this comes all the way off. It does not. So they will stay together. This guy. pee all over the floor. I love it. I love it when you do that. Yeah, totally love it. My kingdom for my 10mm. Everything over on this side of the engine seems to be fairly straightforward and open, and the intake manifold also. So I'm just gonna come around in a U shape this way, get this whole coolant assembly thing off. It's plastic. I figure if I take it off, there's less chance for damage. Nothing wrong with that vacuum pump, and that was one of the things that was listed on BMW's list of stuff that needs to be done to this car. Since that doesn't want to disconnect at the moment, I'll get the hard line instead. These are T30s. Stupid electrical connector. Ah, finally. That was brutal. I finally got down in there with my pocket screwdriver and pulled it away like that. I want to try to get this monstrosity off of here. Looks like it has some 10s. Really? Where are you going that you're missing? One day I'll be able to do stuff like this without getting a bunch of junk on my floor. I think I can leave the vacuum pump on. Oh, well, you know what? I may have to take the cams out, so it may have to come off anyway. I feel better about that. Let's get this intake manifold off here. I think this thing right here is actually meant to take engine sound and bring it into the vehicle. I know it's weird, but I think that's what it's designed to do. If memory serves, these are all 13s. Oh yeah. And now I remember. There's a support underneath here. Yeah, I'm probably gonna only get to it from the back. It's kind of super difficult to see. That is the 10mm that I need to get. That's what's holding the intake on right there. And it was a perfect job for a T-handle. Now that we have taken care of that, this should lift out, move away. I just need to get it off this. Oh, that didn't sound good. There's a lot of electrical connections and everything on that intake, and there's some electrical connections going to the injectors. So I don't know what that was that cracked. I don't like things cracking and flying. I don't like that at all. Right, a few more electrical connections. What I want to know is where yeah, that's part of the cylinder head. I'm just looking at this going, is this part of the cylinder head? It almost looks like that sensor needs to be removed in order to get to that fastener. Wow, I was working way too hard. These work like this. You just depress this big part up top. That, I believe, takes care of all that. We're going to support the engine from underneath, get this stuff off the front, then I'm going to take the valve cover off and see what kind of access I have to stuff. Woodblock, so as not to ruin my new oil pan. this ground. So there's a nut under here. Just to make it easier to work in here, feels like it would be easier just to take this whole mount out. Thanks for the access hole. Looks like I got a couple of 10s that hold this harness across the front here that got to come out first. Valve cover. We need to loosen up the timing belt, or timing chain, I should say. And I'm 180 out on the top end, but I don't care because I can put everything back in line before I reassemble it. But it looks like I got to get the cams out, or at least the gears off anyway. My concern is for this one, I want to know what it goes into. And it looks like it goes down in there. So whatever sensor that is in the back, that's got to come out. Wow, there's a 10mm right down in there, so that's not too bad. Well, I'm kind of glad I took that off because look at all that junk that's clogging up that screen. Ew. Imagine this controls oil pressure. Something like a VTEC solenoid is what it looks like. You saw those chunky things in there. That's no bueno. So we did a good thing by taking this out. I don't see anything that looks super important that looks broken on this as far as the sealing surface goes. So whatever plastic chipped off of here happened someplace that hopefully is, I think that's where it was right there. Mystery solved. You know what I should do first? Take out the tensioner. Tensioner's 1 1/16. Sealing ring is still intact. I think I gotta take the timing chain just about out. And I say this because the guide, the way it goes up into the cylinder head here, sort of loops over, and if I try to remove it like it is now, that could be a problem. So I've got to get the fastener loose, which is down here underneath this, dare I call it a tensioner. Since this is only 2 connections and it's kind of in my way, I'm just going to undo this. Belt's got to come loose, and my tensioner assembly thing has got to come out. There's one more fastener. So now I'm going to take these cam gears off. And that's okay. Because we know that all the cylinders are straight across. So in other words, none of the cylinders are at top dead center. So that doing what it just did didn't mean squat. cam is coming out anyway. Yeah, I'm gonna have to take that all the way out. Otherwise, I'm gonna risk breaking the guides. Get that crank bolt out of there. Two more guide pins. One there, and one there. There we are. I believe it's time to get the cylinder head off. These are E12s, and the way you do these is you go outside in. So when you tighten, you go inside out in a spiral, and you go outside in when you remove. So first I'm going to break them all loose. That light just finds a way to be in the way. It just does. You know what? I don't need you. Go away. I don't know if these are torque to yield bolts, meaning they need to be replaced. I will have to look that up later. I don't see any other ones. Got my fingers crossed that the coolant has drained out of the cylinder head. I have reason to believe it has because, you know, stuff came out here. Point is I don't want to contaminate my nice new oil that I got, because if I did, that kind of sucks. I will remove these cylinder head bolts. So those are the same. Those are clearly different. See if it'll lift off. If not, I'm gonna have to get a pry bar. Yeah, it lifts right off. Cool. Didn't get a whole lot of coolant anywhere. And by the looks of it, that's an expensive head gasket. And these cylinders are not in a line. So I need to rotate it around. So they're not quite where they need to be. A little bit of coolant in the oil is not a problem. A lot is, at least in my experience. Yeah, that looks like an expensive head gasket. Here's a more detailed look at the engine. And the cylinders, like I said, these should be all in a row. So I guess I'm out as far as my timing goes, about 180 degrees. That's what the top end said. So I'll definitely put that back in time before I put it back together. It's going to be easy to see that the cylinders are all in a line. All right, let's get a look at those valves. We've got to be careful of that plastic fuel pressure sensor. Cylinder number 3, just like we expected. And that is on the exhaust side. So right there is why we didn't have compression there. So yeah, we'll pull the cams out so that all these are closed. We'll put the spark plugs in, and then you take solvent and put it down inside these cylinders so that you can see if they're sealing or not. But we did know that number 3 wasn't sealing, and those 2 exhaust valves tell the tale. This is interesting. This is where the injectors come in. So that's where the fuel is sprayed in. Little tiny holes. The way this fuel pressure sensor sticks out, it makes me nervous, and all this stuff is kind of extraneous and in the way, so I am just going to remove the fuel rail T45. I don't mind gasoline on my floor. Not as much as coolant. Gasoline evaporates at least. Looks like they're good for cleaning, right? Although I'm not going to risk pulling these out because it looks like there's just too much stuff to break. So I'm going to clean these inside the cylinder and clean these outside the cylinder. It's the tips that are most important, not this carbon stuff. Let's get these cams out. These all appear to be 8mm. Same drill as before, outside in. So I'm going to start with this back cam. Oh, okay. And these are 8mm. You didn't see me loosen that one, and that one was loose. Yeah, there's definitely been others in here in the past. The perfect storage place for the cams and their accompanying stuff. These are all numbered. Whoa, these are numbered weird. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so that's not a 6, that's a 9. I'm like, why are there 2 6s? That's just stupid. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is how these are numbered. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now each one of these rockers I want to keep in the same location. So once again I'm going to employ my valve cover, which seems to be the ideal place to keep it, and I'm going to keep the rockers along with the corresponding cam lobes. And that way I'll be able to access the valves. But as it is now, all the valves should be closed. And I want to be careful because they may be, yep, there sure are little lost motion deals in there, tappets if you will. So those will all come together, but they all need to be laid out exactly. And I mean exactly. In fact, I'll probably lay another rag back there and put them all there. Whoa. Ah, they're just clipped on. So these just have like a little clip there that clips onto the top of those. Now that they're all out, we can flip it over and get a real look at these valves. Yeah, it looks like just those 2 exhaust valves. So just these 2, the rest look okay. And given that I had compression, 90 pounds on all the other cylinders except this one, and this one's got those 2 bent valves, we're just gonna replace those 2 exhaust valves. My grabber thing won't get down in there, so I'm gonna try to use these valve keeper remover deals here and hope for the best, but it's awfully tight down in here, like awfully tight. Yes, that worked. I'm taking these out now partly because I want to check to see if there's any issues with the guide. I guess somehow the guide got messed up in the process. Yes. Oh yeah, it's a little bent. I'd say. Ooh, that one's kind of jammed. There we go. Also kind of bent. Sweet. I gotta find some valves, a head gasket, a couple of other things. Only slightly bent. Only slightly. The guides look good. I don't see any cracks or anything on them that looks concerning. I think we'll live. So I'm going to order up some exhaust valves and also a head gasket. As far as the exhaust gasket and intake gasket, well, the exhaust gasket's metal. I have faith in it. And the intake gasket we've reused once already, and that was fine. So those are just rubber things. So the less we invest, the better at this point. I'll try to minimize our losses, because we've lost time, and that is also valuable. And that concludes, well, we'll call that part one. And I'm hoping to cram this into 2 parts. I don't know, I haven't edited the second video yet, but I'm gonna work darn hard to have it for you by next week. But that being said, this covers the process of removing the cylinder head. Now they're still putting it back on, torquing things to spec, and do all that kind of stuff. So there is additional information that is of value in the video that will follow this one. I'll post links in the description to additional information, also tools and things that I use. So if you have questions about this video or you didn't quite get enough info, I've got other video links for stuff down in the description, and tool links, all that stuff. If you have automotive questions not covered in this video, I ask that you head to EricTheCarGuy.com, also linked down in the description. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and do all those things that help me make a living here. I really appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Be safe, have fun, stay dirty. Thank you so much for watching again, and I will see you next time.